Rosh Chodesh Nisan. We're starting? Good. We're learning a mimer about Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first day of the first Jewish month of the year. And the Rebbe asks several questions. In other Maimorim, it asks questions. Obvious question, what do you have to have the first month of the year? That's Nisan, and the first day of the year is Rosh Hashanah in Tishrei. What other nation or whatever religion or philosophy has two Rosh Hashanahs? We have Rosh Hashanah for Nisan. That's the Rosh Hashanah of months. And we have the Rosh Hashanah of years, which is the first day of Tishrei. That's Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so now we are approaching just what is it, a week and a half is going to be Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So a lot of times it says the Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the month of miracles. The month, that's the Jewish people's month, the month of miracles. God took us out of Egypt, the beginning of the creation of the regular world, the physical world. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
The beginning of the creation of the physical world was on Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Really, actually, it wasn't the beginning of the creation. It was the last day of creation, the sixth day of creation. Sixth day of creation was Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. That's the Rosh Hashanah. That's Rosh Hashanah of Judaism, right? Sort of. The Rosh Hashanah of the months is Nisan. The Rosh Hashanah of days is Tishrei. The Rosh Hashanah of months is Nisan, the first day of Nisan. Chodesh Zelechem Rosh Chodashim Rishon Hu L'Chadshei Hashanah is the beginning of the months of the year. The Rosh Hashanah of the days of the year is when we blow the shofar. Toot. That's when man was created. 5,000, as of this speech, 5,779 and a half years ago. When the Jews were taken out of Egypt, that was the birth of the Jewish people. That was the month of Nisan. Okay, that's historical, very nice, and also according to law. It has also, if you look in the Mishnayos in Rosh Hashanah, it says that there's 4 Rosh Hashanahs, and the Rosh Hashanah of months, kings, it says is Nisan. But good, that's very interesting as far as religion goes, and Jewish history and Jewish excuse me, and Judaism. But what about our day-to-day life? Does it have any effect on our day-to-day life as human beings? Yeah, we're religious, and maybe not. Maybe here we're talking about God. And the God of the Jews creates the whole world all the time. Creates it brand new. So just like everybody in the world is very interested in, what does Trump say? He's the president of America. His words are very important, timely. They don't care so much about what, Obama says or what anybody does. These past presidents, they're past presidents. They care about the present, right? What does the president say, especially if he has power? What does Putin say? Right, he's got power, but he doesn't, not as powerful as Trump. Trump is maybe more important. People want to know what he has to say. Hashem is more important than all of them. Hashem is creating everybody. He's creating everything. He's even creating Yerachmiel. So if so, Hashem must be pretty important. So if Hashem says that this is the first day of the month, this is not just important to the Jews. This is important to everyone that Hashem is creating, namely everyone. So there must be something really important going on over here. So now, the Rebbe is going to explain this in a Kabbalistic way. So you have to hold on to your heads in order to understand this. But we have to understand that when you're talking in terms of physics or in mathematics, you have to understand the terms, the what is it called, the nomenclature that's used in these topics, right? What are you talking about? When we talk about a vector, what's a vector? A vector means a certain thing in physics and whatever, right? When you're talking about a square root, it means a certain thing. What is a square root? A square root in mathematics is different from a square root in, for instance, biology. If your plant has a square root to it, it means that the roots of the plant are square. I just made that up. So now we're talking about the God of Israel who creates what? A root is a shorish. In English, there's a square root. No, multiplied. Or divided by itself, yeah. Not divided by itself. Which number, if multiplied by itself, gets this number? That little bit, I didn't fall asleep in class. Don't ask me what sine and cosine is. Huh? No, it's not. Oh, try. Yeah, something like that. You can figure out the. Yeah. Right. Okay. There used to be a rock and roll song like that. I don't know what a slide rule is for. Okay. Here we are back in the real world. God is creating everything. And He's creating everything according to a system. And the Jewish people, somehow or other, are outside of this system. That's why God made another Rosh Hashanah. And the job of the Jewish people is to affect the system of the creation in a positive way. In a positive way. Because according to the system of creation, God created a lot of bad things. He created evil people. He created death, destruction. Lies, cheating, depression, anger, all these terrible things that God is creating them. And it's up to the Jews to bring a little bit of the Creator into the creation to show that these things are not good. According to the creation, there's no such thing as good and bad. Right? Whatever, pick your philosopher. Nietzsche says like this, and Kant says like this, and Spinoza says like this, and everybody, what is good and bad. Everybody picks their own. Or you can pick a religion. According to Judaism, there's one Creator, and this Creator creates the whole world, and He creates it according to the system that He wants that system to be improved by the Jews. And that's the whole idea of the month of Nisan. Paragraph bait. So the Rebbe says, what is the greatness of the month of Nisan? It is the month that the Jews began in the preparation for receiving the Torah. And the Torah is going to be the instrument that improves the world ultimately, puts ultimate meaning into every instant of the world, shows how every human being is infinitely important and irreplaceable. That's what the Torah does. Because God's creating everybody, right? He's creating every person. It's not like only the Jews are worth something and all the infidels are going to burn in hell. It doesn't work like that. Every person is infinitely important and every person is necessary. But you have to use your potential in a positive way. So, bichdei in order, Lubavitcher to explain, Gadol Ha'ila, the great highness, shel hagiluyim, of the revelations of the Torah. The Torah is here in the world in order to reveal God here. Beit. Good? Ubichdei, and in order. Lubavitcher to explain. Gadol, the great. Ilui, highness, shell of the Giluyim of the Torah. By the way, we are now learning a mimer for those that were not with us yesterday in Mimer Melukatim of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach which was said in 1987. 1987. And it's sort of based on a mimer which was said by the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, who passed away on the second day of Nisan. Interesting. In order to explain what is the highness of the Torah, that the month of Nisan is the month that the Jews started preparing to receive the Torah. Because why did they leave Egypt? God said to Moshe on the burning bush, which the burning bush was on Mount Sinai. And God said to Moshe at the burning bush, the Jewish people are going to go out of Egypt in the merit that they're going to serve me on this mountain. And that's one of the explanations. And get the Torah. Meva'er explained Techila. Let's explain first. Hagiluyim. What is it mean? The revelations in the worlds. God is creating the world. The world is also a very amazing place. Hagilui, that the revelation Asher ba'olamos that are in the worlds. Hu lamayla mi'olamot, above the worlds. The godliness which is in the world is above the world. God created the world. You see God created the world? No. You see it? God is creating the world right now. Mendel, God is creating you. Do you see this? Do you feel this? No. You do. I don't. If you think about it and if you believe that it's true, you have to believe it's true. There's a lot of very, very intelligent people, very great philosophers, very deep thinkers that have written large books explaining in great detail how there is no creator, no such thing, and everything is totally natural, and we came from evolution, whatever the system is, and there is no such thing as good and bad. You have to figure it out yourself. Or read this book and he'll figure it out for you. Excuse me. The worlds themselves are very, very amazing. Says the Rebbe, God is creating the world. You can't, who would you believe it? Because the revelations in the world, the revelation of God that's creating the world is above the world. The world can't comprehend this. You can only perceive it. Right, but he's creating it right now.
You start paying attention and look.
You have to, what type of attention are you supposed to pay? To who?
Like the people who are being born, the buildings are being built, the kids who are going to school, like all the new people, the old people. Every person is created by Hashem.
Not just every person, every molecule.
Every molecule, everything.
Okay, but we don't see this. That's what I'm saying.
Just have faith in Hashem.
Oh, there we go. Right there we go. So you have to have faith. Why do you have to have faith? Why can't we see such an obvious thing?
Because Hashem tests us. Like we can have faith in something
very
that's not
good.
Real.
Okay.
Or we can have faith in Him.
Not bad. Not bad. But meanwhile, the fact is that Hashem is really creating us, and there's nothing more real than God. And we can't see it. So we don't see reality. Why not? Says the Rebbe, very simple. I'll tell you why. Because this revelation of God creating the world is above the world, is not within the worlds. The olamos, that the worlds, Haim b'medrei b'medida v'agbala, world is limited. That's what God did. Why God did this? Maybe it's like what Zechariah said. He did it in order to test us. He did it, but the fact is God concealed himself. He made a world with a condition that he would not be revealed here, only by our self-sacrifice. That's what Abraham understood. That was why he was the first Jew. The olamot hein b'medida v'agbala, that the worlds are limited. That's what the word world means. Olam is from halem, concealment. The kamosh is shamayim ba'or, it's just like the heavens and the earth. Shalamata, below. Shaba'olam hazeh gashmi heim, they are b'medida v'agbala, they are limited. There are laws of nature. There are laws of the stars. Mea eretz l'rakia, like it says, from the earth to the first heaven is 500 years. This is the language of the Gemara. Huh? No. Odlo. Odlo, no. This is the Ashur Acharon. Kamo can similarly, who now turn Benogea relating the Shamayim or it's the heavens and the earth. Sha'olamot, that the worlds Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. Haruchanim, spiritual worlds. Haim, they are Medida v'Hagbala limited. Here we go, rabbis. Listen. Not everything that's hidden from us is God. Not everything, all the spiritual worlds. When a person dies, what happens? His soul goes to a spiritual level. What does everybody do? They all cry. They're all berserk. They're going wild. Where is Uncle Joe? Right? Alas, fellow of infinite jest. He was such a wonderful person. Now where is he? He's putting Uncle Joe on the ground. Right? I don't believe it. This is terrible. He was so. I would never have dreamed to put him in the ground when he was alive. Well, you get arrested for that. And now he's dead. Now where is his soul? Where is Uncle Joe? Where is Uncle Joe? Where is he gone? Right? So some people will say, listen, Uncle, it was like batteries. It wasn't really it was like one of these computers. Your computer breaks down, you cry. Don't cry. Uncle Joe, same thing. What are you crying for? What are you crying for? It's just, the computer is gone. That's it. Right? We put it in the ground just so it won't smell bad. That's the reason we put them in the ground. So something one won't come along and eat them or something. It says in Halacha that people do it so that they won't take the skins of their mothers and fathers and put them on the wall. Right? Mom and dad, you can't bear to see somebody burying your beloved ones. So you'll keep them around. There's people in Mexico that they preserved their family. They have a room, the dead room. People, they go in there and make parties and things like that. Yeah.
That's a horrible idea.
I don't know. They think it's a good idea.
I think it's a bad idea.
Okay,
Why
so don't do it.
So
don't do it.
Everyone dies eventually.
So they don't want,
Everyone dies eventually.
Okay, to each his own.
I don't
Nevertheless, is the soul still around or is the soul not around? Is there such a thing as a soul? Who knows? Even the people that believe it is around, it goes to some place where we can't see. Unless you're some big tzaddikim. The Lubavitcher Rebbe used to contact his father-in-law. Other people come to them in the dead. There's all sorts of stories in the Gemara about people coming to them after they die. Good. Nevertheless, wherever they go to a spiritual world, and these worlds are not seen. And these worlds are creations. The spiritual worlds, the angels, these powers that almost all the other religions are based on. Maybe all the other religions are based on. These are only creations. Hashem creates the heavens and the earth. The heavens are all the spiritual worlds. God is not spiritual. God creates the spiritual. The spiritual is like a ladder to start to appreciate God more. Now, in the spiritual worlds in general, there are 3 levels of spiritual worlds. There's what's called the spiritual half of Asiya. There is the world of Yetzira, the world of Bria. And then there's what's called the world of Atzilut, but Atzilut is already like the Creator himself. Sometimes the Atzilut is another name for the Creator. And Bria, which means creation, is the beginning of the creation. Okay, what are we talking about here? I don't know. The Rebbe is talking about this. It talks about it in the line of Amorim. I personally have never seen any of these worlds. I have no idea where they are, what they are. Little idea what they are. And I can talk about them, but I have no, as far as I know, experience of these upper worlds. The prophet Isaiah, it says that his whole prophecy, that he saw the angels in the world of Bria. In the world of Yechezkel, it says that he saw angels, and that was in the world of Yetzira, a little bit lower. The prophet Zechariah, he also saw angels, and his prophecy came from the upper part of Asiya. That's what I heard from someone. At the splitting of the sea, the people saw God.
What about the
They saw the Creator.
Daniel?
I don't know. I don't know what levels he saw. I have no idea. Good question. You have to look and see. There's Kabbalistic books that talk about this.
Like the book of the Reveal.
These people I talked about, Zechariah and Yeshaya and Zechariah, and those are prophets. and prophets. Daniel was
one of the prophets.
but his book is not in the book of prophets.
The
book of Daniel. The book of Daniel is one of the Ketuvim. Okay. Daniel's not considered, I mean, he's considered to be one of the prophets. He's made amazing prophecies about the future. I think, though, that Daniel did not have a message for the people. You have to look this up. Daniel did not have a message. All the other prophets had a message for the people to tell the people. And Daniel was a prophet. It says also Avram was a prophet, and Sorah was a prophet, and Daniel was a prophet, but his message was not for the people, it was about the future and about. Okay, let's go. All right, so now let's start. We're entering the spiritual worlds. The world of this physical world is called Asiya. It is divided by the stars. Above the stars is the world of spiritual Asiya. Above that is the world of the angels. That's called Yetzirah. Are you listening?
Yeah.
Above that is what's called the world of the souls. That's called Bria. So those are the three spiritual worlds. Above that is the world of Atzilut. Atzilut is revealed godliness. It's a world, but it's considered to be an infinite world. It's not sort of not part of the world. Like I said, the word Bria means creation. Yetzirah means formation. Asiya means action. These three spiritual worlds are three dimensions. All these worlds that I'm talking about, they exist right here. They're here.
But how come we don't see them?
Because we're too small of a dimension. Our minds are too too limited.
What's
to
this
accept
dimension called?
Asiya. Asiya. The Rebbe gave an example, and I'll give it again, and I've given it before. It's like if you ever learn geometry. You ever learn geometry? You know what geometry is? You ever learn geometry?
It's where the countries are, like.
No. That's geography. Geometry is the study of shapes. Square, circle, triangle. So, but there's even more elementary in geometry. There's what's called a point, and a line, and a plane, and a cube. A point, according to geometry, is no dimensions. It's just where two lines cross. But it itself is no dimensions. Like the edge of this table. Where is the edge of the table? Right, the edge of the table. The edge of the table is here. Can you measure it? Can't measure it. It's no measure. It's just where the two ends meet. Right? And if it's not rounded off, it's not really the edge of the table, right? It's where two points meet. That's called a point. It has no dimensions whatsoever. A line has one dimension, only length. How many points are there in a line? Infinite number of points in a line. You can take a line and you can draw another line through it infinite number of times. Why? Because lines have no thickness. So you can take a line like a number. You can take any number and divide it infinite number of times. Huh? Why not? No, but you can divide one an infinite number of times. A half of one.
Number one. Different than like if you're talking about.
Of course, yeah, good. Number one is like a line. Number one is like a line. You can divide it an infinite number of times. Take the number one. You can divide it by 2. You can divide it by 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Infinite number of divisions you can make from it, right? Infinite number of. So it's a line also. You can divide it an infinite number of times. A line, because a line is only in length, and a point has no dimension. So you can make it. How many points are in a line? Infinite. A line. There's another dimension called a cube. A cube. What's a cube? A cube is an additional dimension. A line has length. A cube has length and height. You can make a cube. You can divide a cube by lines. How many lines are in a cube? Infinite number. Not a cube, I'm sorry, a plane. A cube has depth to it. You can make an infinite number of planes can cut through a cube, right? So if there's an infinite number of planes in a cube, and an infinite number of lines in a plane, and an infinite number of points in a line, then how many points are there in a cube? Makes no sense, right? 3 times infinite. That doesn't make any sense. So it says, the Rebbe gave this example. This is an example just to show a little bit of what we're dealing with, right? This world is like a point consciousness. The world of Yetzirah is like a line consciousness. I'm just using this as an example. the world of Bria is like a plane consciousness. The world of Atzilus is like a cube consciousness, so to speak. Therefore, the lower worlds can't conceive of the upper worlds because the upper worlds are infinitely greater than the lower worlds. It's infinite. And a lower world can't understand what's infinite. We can't understand what infinite is. Even mathematical infinity, you can't understand what it is. Right? You can postulate there is such a thing. You can divide a number 1 infinite number of times. No, go do it. Right? Makes no sense. Yeah, there's not enough paper in the world. It's stupid to say there's not enough paper in the world. It's infinite number of paper, right? Yeah.
Like there's an infinite amount of trees, there's an infinite amount of people in the world.
That's not so. That's not so. But you can tell. I understand you're telling me, but it's not so.
But there's too many people in the world to count. You can't count all the people.
If they're not moving around, they can be counted. The countries can count them. The people are hiding. I know. I was once in India, in a place in India.
Healthcare, there's more people getting born.
I was once in India. And I asked, I was in a town called Gokarna. I asked how many people live here in the town of Gokarna. So they said somewhere between 2,000 and 200,000. So how can that possibly be? So the people live in the forest, they live in these little towns. Like you say, people give birth, they don't report it, they don't know about it. Okay, let's go.
Count all the people. There's too many people.
You personally cannot count them. Because by the time you get over here, there'll be more people born over there. But technically, it could be impossible. Not only that, it's possible to estimate the number of atoms that are in the ocean. The number of atoms that are in the creation, even though I don't know how they possibly do this. But there's all these theories about how the creation convolutes on himself. I don't know. Einstein had some sort of a theory. Okay, not important. We're talking about the physical worlds, the spiritual worlds, and God.
So basically, in the world that we're in,
yes,
the world, it really is even infinite is actually infinite because God created it.
That's right. Yes, that's what the Rebbe is trying to say. Yes, right. Infinite compared to God is finite.
Finite?
Finite means not infinite. Mugbal. Right?
Everything that we are infinite.
Because everything is relative. It's the same thing.
Seems infinite to us, but to God it's not. It's God made it.
But by us,
God made us to feel
right, infinite. But
not so infinite. So.
But a Jew has the ability to bring infinite into this physical world.
But there's an infinite amount of people, even outside of Israel, there's an infinite amount of people. You can't count all the people. That's infinite. You don't know how many people are in the world.
Just because you don't know doesn't mean that it's infinite.
Actually, it might be. You don't know it. It could be
just
infinite.
full
You
of
can't
things
count
that we
how many
can't
people.
count.
Yeah.
You can't count. So people are infinite. There's too many people. Thanks to better healthcare and.
Okay, let's go. Come on. It's not that. That's certainly not true. Certainly not true. There's not enough people in the world.
Actually,
The more people that are in the world, the more chance that there'll be one person that will invent a way to feed everybody. He'll make from air. He'll make steaks or something. Enough. Shorish Hagbala, the source of limitation of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya, comes from the vessels of Atzilus. Have you ever learned about this before? So from the world of Atzilut, which is another name for God, Atzilut, is created all the worlds below it. To mizem, move on, from this it's understood, shegam akelim da Atzilut, that even the vessels of Atzilut, im yotam elokut, even though that, like we said before, the world of Atzilut is pure godliness, both the lights and the vessels, and I'm going to explain what this is, lights and vessels, in a minute. Hein bebechinet gavul, they are also limited. They are also limited. We have the vessels of the world of Atzilut and the lights of the world of Atzilut. Everything there is in the world is composed of inside and outside. Everything. Everything in the world has a spirit and a body. Everything there is. has a spirit and a body. Even inanimate things have a spirit and a body. For instance, these glasses, right? These glasses, they have a body. They're made from metal. They're made from glass, whatever they're made from, right? These are the other pair. These glasses. But they also have a use. They also have a use. The use is that you put them on over your eyes and it protects them from the sun. That's the soul of the thing. The use of the thing is the soul of the thing. Right? What it can be used for. As soon as the use is gone, then the soul is gone. Maybe you can find another use. How much more so you can see it in animals, living things, plants, animals. Right? You can see that there's a vessel, there's the body of the thing, and then there's a soul inside of it that makes it grow. It gives it a life, godliness inside of it that makes it grow. Everything is created by God, but the godliness of a thing is the life inside of it, or the use inside of it. Sometimes in Chassidus it's called the spark. How to use this thing to serve God. That's called the nitzutz. We talked about it in the last mimer, but you won't hear the nitzutz. So says the Rebbe, this is all determined by Hashem. Hashem, as far as we're concerned, is the world of Atzilut. In the world of Atzilut, there is also vessels and lights. The vessels of Atzilut are the outer part, the part that creates the rest of the worlds, the vessels of Atzilut. The light of Atzilut is the godliness of Atzilut, that it exists for itself, so to speak. The life of it. So here we go. Ready? Listen. Which is not the case, the revelation in the worlds. Hainu or the light of the Kav, shenimshach ba'em, which is drawn into them. The actual creation of the physical worlds comes from Atzilut. But there is also life in the worlds. And the life in the worlds comes from above Atzilut. This comes from the Atzmus or Ein Sof Shalivnei Atzimtzum. This comes from the essence of God, which is before the Tzimtzum. What is the Tzimtzum? The Tzimtzum is a process that God used to cover over himself, to hide himself, so he could create the world. The explanation is given like a genius physicist that is given a class that he has to teach physics. Do that afterwards. He has to teach physics to a class of 5-year-olds. They made a mistake. They put him in a class of 5-year-olds instead of graduate students in physics. That's his job now. He has to teach physics to these 5-year-old kids. What does he do? He makes a tzimtzum. What's a tzimtzum? He takes away all of his knowledge. He takes away all of his ideas. He takes away all of his plans, how he's going to teach them. He takes away everything and he makes a new plan according to these 5-year-old children. How am I going to teach them physics? Same thing. God wanted to create a world. God is infinitely, infinitely more real than the worlds are. The worlds can't take too much. So he made a tzimtzum. He wanted to make the world. That's what it says in the Bible. He wanted to make the Bible. One second. We'll talk about the Torah in a second. We're not talking about the Torah now. We're not talking about the Torah. In a way, the Torah is not a tzimtzum. We'll talk about that. God wanted, we have no idea what we're doing. When we do Torah and mitzvahs, we're connecting to a higher level of godliness than the worlds. But in order to understand that, let's understand what the worlds are. The worlds are not made by, how do you say, God, he coughed one day or something like that. All of a sudden came out the worlds. The worlds are made by God, very deep, deep, deep intention. Even the world of Atzilut is made by God.
How could he destroy the world?
What?
He doesn't have to, like God could...
We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just look at, let's learn this. We'll learn these ideas and then we'll try to understand them. We're saying, let's make a very simple statement. God is creating the world every moment. God is creating the world every moment. What does that mean? God is creating the world every moment. It means he's creating this world. He's creating the spiritual worlds, right? All the spiritual worlds are all revelations and creations of God. That's part of the worlds. What about the God that creates the world that's above all the worlds? That's above Atzilut. It's above all these lights, above all the vessels. It's above it all. That God, the essence of God, the same God that gave the Torah, That God is creating me and you right now. He's creating every bug. He's creating every cat. The God, here it says even more, the essence of God. Atzmus Ein Sof, which is before the Tzimtzum. Hu bechinet bli gevul. This is totally unlimited. God that creates all limits is totally above any limit. Above the spiritual. All the other religions are based on some spiritual ideas. The other religions go berserk. They're willing to kill each other. They're willing to jump off of buildings. They're willing to die. Anything for their religions to go to heaven. Heaven is just a lower world. It's just a lower, nothing. Billions of people are fooling themselves, worshiping creations of God, spiritual creations, but creations. Billions of people. How many people are in the world? 8 billion, something like that, people. Something like that, I think.
You can't count that, actually. More than 8 billion.
I understood what you said, but it's not so. 8 billion plus, right. 8 billion. It's like the joke, the same joke I've told all the time. I only know one joke, so I tell this joke. A lady is sitting in a lecture, and a professor says, according to science, the world is going to be destroyed and will not last. The world will for certainly burn itself out and be destroyed in 1 billion years. A lady in the crowd stands up and she says, "What? No, it can't be. No, don't say that. That's not right." The professor said, "Excuse me, ma'am, what are you so excited? What did you just say? What did you say?" I said that the world is going to be destroyed in another 1 billion years. She said, Oh, I thought you said another 1,000,000 years. A billion, a million, it makes a difference how many people there are. There's 8 billion people. This is a Viktor Frankl joke. Viktor Frankl tells this joke in one of his books. Professor Viktor Frankl. Great, you're doing a great job. Laughing at the same joke.
Good job.
It's the delivery.
Every time I hear it.
I know. That's a good thing about having. Okay, let's go. I know, or the light of the kav, which is drawn into them. The kav. The shor shohu mi'atzmut or ein sof shalivnei atzimtzum. Okay. This is explaining what is called by the Arizal, Rav Yitzchak Luria. He has a whole system of how the world was created. And he built on the Kabbalists which were before him. But in addition, he just had his own inspiration. And interestingly enough, the Arizal, Rav Yitzchak Luria, he passed away 400 years ago, something like that. He's buried in Sfat. Nobody in Judaism disagrees with anything that he said. There's nothing that he said which is not accepted by everybody. Some people don't understand this. Some people don't know what it is. But everything that he said is accepted by everybody. Everybody, by the Arizal. There were others before him. There was the Chayat and Rav Moshe Cordovero and other great Kabbalists. And what they say, there's people that the other Kabbalists that have other methods and others, but the Arizal, that's the last word in Kabbalah is the Arizal. At least as far as I know. I mean, I haven't heard anybody after him. That's the Arizal. So the Arizal explains, and that's what Chabad took. Chabad took the ideas of the Arizal. That's the Chabad Siddur is called the Arizal Siddur. Ari is al-om. There's different meanings of what it is, but let's say Aronenu Rav Yitzchak, something Omer Rav Yitzchak. Arizal. Zal means of blessed memory. So he said that like this: God made this thing called the Tzimtzum, and God made this thing called the Kav. The Tzimtzum means, like I gave the example about the great physicist having to take away all of his knowledge. The Kav is how this great physicist would now start to teach these 5-year-old children a new type of light that comes from him. Same thing. God wanted to create the worlds. So God, what did he do? He hid over. He did not remove his light. He concealed over his light. And what this means, we'll talk about it another time, as far as I understand. And God then made a new beam of light. This is hinted at in the Torah when it says that in the beginning God spoke, "Let there be light." Yeshiva Ohr. this new light that God created, this is called the kav, the beam. And from this beam comes from God's essence. This beam comes through this empty place that God made, this concealment, and starts to make worlds. It starts to make worlds. It makes those worlds, there's worlds that are before Atzilus. There's Tohu, there's etc. Then the world of Atzilus, very, very complicated.
If those worlds get destroyed, the world
No. That what it says that God made worlds and destroyed them. That's talking about, yes, the world of Tohu. It says the world of Tohu. It was destroyed. But it wasn't means that it was destroyed, that it doesn't exist anymore. These worlds are infinite. They're above time. So when it says that these worlds were destroyed, it means that they still exist, these worlds, and they have their effect on the world, but they affect it in a broken way.
Like, how do you know they're affected?
Because the fact that there's evil in the world, and evil contradicts God, is a sign that's coming from something that's broken. But this broken world, God broke it on purpose. It was an aspect, but here we're talking about this. If you remember, we had a mimer, wait 3 minutes. If you remember, we talked about this mimer, and 3 mimers ago, we learned this, about the breaking of the vessels. Do you remember how there was bad in the world, and the breaking of the vessels, and the raising? All of these ideas, Kabbalistic ideas, are not here in order to impress your friends at parties or something like that. They're in order to make our lives more meaningful and orderly, to know who is what and where, why God made evil in the world, why God made bad in the world. Here what we're learning about is what happens when a Jew learns the Torah, when he does a commandment. He draws a new type of light into the world. The Rebbe says, if you want to understand what the new type of light in the world is, let's understand, first of all, what the world is. The world is also a creation of God, and God is creating it every moment, and He's creating it from His essence. So how could the Torah be higher than that? How could it be higher? And that's what we're going to see. This, by the way, is one reason why evil can stand against good. Why the first of the 10 commandments is, I am God who took you out of Egypt. What's the big deal about God took him out of Egypt? And according to Judaism, God creates Egypt. He creates the whole world. God can do whatever He wants to in an instant. Right? Just stop creating Egypt and there's no more Egypt. Right? Put it into the heads of all the Egyptians that all of a sudden, wow, I am a servant of the Jews. That's it. Put it into their heads. God couldn't do it. Make them all hidden.
But He doesn't create so.
So that's very good. So it says, why? Because the world also comes from a very, very, very high, deep source in God. And the power that there is in the world is very, very deep and very essential. And God wants us to change it. That's the idea of going out of Egypt, which is explained in the 47th chapter of the Tanya, and which we will talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you for coming to class.